Who is called as an organism? An organism is one that has the capacity to lead an independent life without depending on the others. Then population interactions like commensalism, mutualism, parasitism, predation, all that we are going to come across in this population interactions. A state of inactivity and metabolic depression in animals during dry and hot season. This is during winter season. This is during dry and hot season is called estivation. Hello everyone, welcome back to the revision class of second PUC Biology chapter 13 called Organism and Populations. Myself B. Shobharani from the Department of Biology, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence in Mysuru. What are we going to study in this particular chapter? What is an organism, what is population, and what are the population attributes, etc. we are going to discuss in this particular chapter called Organism and Population. What is the weightage of marks for this particular chapter from the point of examination? So, this chapter called Organism and Population has a weightage of 6 marks. So, what will be the type of questions asked for 6 marks in the board exam? That is the 1 marker question, 1 question, and 5 marker question, 1 question. So, but as I say, keep telling that 5 marker question may also have the split questions like 3 plus 2 or 2 plus 2 plus 1. So, whatever questions appear from 5 marker questions may also, that is from part D, may it be section 1 or section 2. Sometimes we get the split questions for 5 marker questions, that is 3 plus 2, 5, 2 plus 2 plus 1, that is 5 marks, right? That is the total weightage of marks for this particular chapter is 6 marks, 1 marker question, 1 question, and 5 marker question, 1 question. Moving on to the chapter introduction. As we all know that rotation of the earth around the sun and the tilt in its axis causes annual variations in intensity and duration of temperature, resulting in distinct seasons. And these variations, along with the annual variations in precipitation, form the major biomes like the desert, the forest, right? Now, what is an organism? An organism is a living being that is capable of functioning on its own. Who is called as an organism? An organism is one that has the capacity to lead an independent life without depending on the others. In biology, populations are defined as the sum of all live creatures of the identical species that are found in a specific geographical location. So, what is an organism? Organism is a living being that is capable of functioning on its own. What is population? Populations is defined as what? The sum of all the living creatures which are identical species and are found in a specific geographical area. Communities. What are communities then? Communities are made up of a group of individuals who live in the same location. Then, it is known to all of us that life of an organism would not exist on earth without interactions. As we all know that the environment consists of both abiotic and biotic factors, and there is always an interaction of the living organisms with the abiotic factors. Now, within an ecosystem, organisms live in a group and they share or compete for resources. They grow as what? As population. The attributes of organism and population in an ecosystem is discussed in this chapter. As I said, what are the different population interactions, population attributes, all that we are going to discuss in this particular chapter called Organism and Population. Synapses. As I already said, organism and its environment. Always there is an interaction between the living organism with that of the abiotic factors that are found in the environment, may it be light, may it be temperature, etc. So, different biomes. As I already said, the variations as well as the annual variations form precipitation, which in turn results in the process of formation of a biome, different biomes. Major abiotic factors. What are all the abiotic factors we come across? That is the light, temperature, water, etc. They are all the major abiotic factors. So how will the living organisms respond to the abiotic factors? Like they regulate, they conform, they migrate, and they suspend. So as we know, that is, all organisms exhibit a very important feature called homeostasis, maintenance of internal environment. So our body temperature is constant, that is 37 degrees centigrade. It will not change according to the environmental condition. As we all know that we classify the animals into cold-blooded animals and warm-blooded animals. In warm-blooded animals, the temperature is constant. It does not change according to the external environment. In cold-blooded, where we also use the word called poikilotherms, where the body temperature changes according to the environmental changes. Then migrate, as we know, birds, when the environmental conditions are not favorable, they migrate to they move from one place to another place, maybe for reproduction, etc. For example, we all know that the famous Bharatpur sanctuary in Rajasthan, where it is a host for the Siberian birds who come from colder northern regions. Then suspend. For example, if the animals are not able to migrate, then they will come across with certain features, that is like suspend. Then adaptation. Adaptation is the ability of an organism to survive and reproduce in a particular environment. So they come out with lot of strategies to adapt themselves to a particular environmental condition. May it be a desert. What will be the adaptations made by the plants, the desert plants, and even mammals and the kangaroo rat? As we all know, kangaroo rat will retain the water by oxidation of fat, and it urinates concentrated urine. So all these are the adaptations which an animal tries to cope up with the extreme climatic conditions. Then physiological and geochemical adaptation, then behavioral adaptation. Then population. What are the population attributes we come across? That is the birth ratio, and the death rate, sex ratio, age pyramid, all those are population attributes. Then the population growth, where we come across the logistic growth and the exponential growth. Then population interactions like commensalism, mutualism, parasitism, predation, all that we are going to come across in this population interactions. As we all know that the animals interact with the biotic and abiotic factors, and how we are both with the biotic and abiotic. What will be the population interactions? All that we are going to study in this particular chapter. Let us move on to discuss about the type of questions that are asked from this particular chapter called organism and population. As I already said, so like 1 marker questions are asked. So what is a biome? How do we define the word called biome? Large complex communities that extends over a large geographical area having particular major vegetation zone and is associated with the fauna and maintained under the climatic condition. So as I said, biomes are large complex communities. May it be like the desert, may it be like a forest, tundra region, etc. They are all called biomes. Next, classify the organism based on tolerance of salinity, urihaline and stenohaline. Then what is homeostasis? That is the ability of organisms to maintain constant internal environment despite varying external environment condition is called homeostasis. In simple words, if you want to say, homeostasis is nothing but internal environment. Then what is hibernation? As I already said, when the animals are not able to migrate, they'll come up with certain strategies like suspend, then hibernation, estivation. So what is hibernation? Which is also called as what? Winter sleep. A state of inactivity and metabolic depression in animal during winter season is called hibernation. So when there is winter season, the animals where all the metabolic processes will be slowed down, or they might be inactive. Seen in polar bear, where we come across extreme cold condition, frog, lizard, etc. Define estivation, summer sleep. A state of inactivity and metabolic depression in animals during dry and hot season. This is during winter season. This is during dry and hot season is called estivation. Example, snail, pelagic fishes, etc. What is Allen's rule? This is one common question which is asked in the second PU board examination. Most probable or commonly asked question. Like if you go through the previous question papers, you'll get to know that this question is repeatedly asked. So what is Allen's rule? Mammals from colder climate have shorter ear and short limbs to reduce heat loss. It is Allen's rule. It is called Allen's rule, proposed by a scientist by name Joel Allen, hence the name Allen's rule. So this is a very common question which is asked in the board examination. Next, what is logistic growth? So when we study about the population growth, then logistic growth and exponential growth, that is, growth rate of population decreases as the number of individual increases and reaches carrying capacity. Then pollinating species of wasp show mutualism with specific fig plants. Mention the benefits of the female wasp that derive from fig trees from such interaction. How will they interact? So, pollinating species of wasp show mutualism with specific fig plants. Mention the benefits of the female wasp which derive from fig trees from such interaction. So, the wasp uses the fruit as for what? For oviposition, to lay the eggs, and the developing seeds for nourishing its larvae. So it is benefited in both the ways. The wasp uses the fruit for laying the eggs and the developing seeds for nourishing its larvae. Next, for 5-marker question. So what will be the type of questions which are asked? Differentiate between exponential growth and logistic growth. Exponential growth and logistic growth. First point, growth exists when the rate of growth rate is proportional to the existing number in logarithmic progression. There, growth decreases with increase in number and reaches the carrying capacity. Second point, second difference, it takes place when various resources are available in unlimited growth. Here, it takes place when resources are available in limited amount. So here in unlimited amount, you can say in unlimited amount. Here, there is no upper limit for growth. Here, carrying capacity is the upper limit for growth. Then, it results in what shaped curve? J-shaped curve. Here, it results in S-shaped curve. Next, for 5-marker question only, explain important defense mechanism in plants against herbivory. So, as we know that plants will try to avoid the grazing animals by developing certain defense mechanisms. So, for example, like what will be the morphological traits they develop as a defense mechanism to against the grazing and herbivores. So, having thorns and spines, prickle and bristles, then sticky glandular hairs, hairy coating, resemblance of dreaded animals, like mimicry, making mimicry, then harboring ants, so they are afraid to go to that plants, then the stinging hair, sharp hairs which may sting, that is the reason why these are all the morphological traits which a plant will develop against herbivory. Next, chemical defense. What will be the chemical? Like poisonous cardiac glucosides, like monarch butterfly will develop alkaloids, tannins, lactic, offensive smell, bitter tart, silica, then irritating substance. All these are the chemical defenses which a plant will develop against herbivory. Next, third one, explain the different types of interaction in population. Like as I already said, amensalism, mutualism, competition, etc. So, amensalism, interaction in which one species is inhibited or destroyed, the other species is unaffected. So, here you can see minus and 0 means what? Interaction in which one species is inhibited or destroyed, that is minus. The other species is unaffected, that is 0. Mutualism plus plus, where both the organisms are benefited. Interaction in which both the interacting species are benefited. Here, competition, both are not benefited because there is a tough competition for the same resources. Competition, it is interaction in which both the interacting species are harmed. Then parasitism, you can see plus and minus. Interaction in which one species is benefited, that is the predator, and the other species, that is the prey, is harmed. Predation, interaction in which dependence of the higher trophic level on the lower trophic level. Higher trophic level will be the predator and the lower trophic level will be the prey. So, interaction in which one species is benefited, that is the predator, and the other species, that is prey, is harmed. Commensalism plus and 0. That is interaction in which plus means what? Benefited. One species is benefited. 0 means the other one is neither benefited nor harmed. All these are the various population interactions. Then next, moving on to the question. Next question, what is competition? State the difference between interspecific and intraspecific competition. So what is competition? Interaction in which both interacting species are harmed is known as what? Competition. So competition is what? Minus minus, where both are not benefited. So interaction in which both interacting species are harmed is known as competition. Next, competition can be either among individuals of same species or between individuals of different species. So based on the competition within the species or same species or different species, again we classify them into intraspecific and interspecific competition. Now let us discuss the two kinds of competitions one by one. So intraspecific competition, what is this? It is the competition that occur between the individuals of the same species. It is called intra. Different species, it is called inter. For example, what is the example you are going to give for intraspecific competition? Animals compete for the food, water and partner, like mate. Okay, interspecific competition, it is a competition that occur between the individuals of two different species having same requirements of life, like the lion, tigers, leopard, which compete for the same prey. So this is what we discuss about the intraspecific competition and interspecific competition. Then interspecific competition is a potent force in organic evolution. As we all know, it is a competition between two different species. So it will be a potent force in organic evolution. Competition between the individuals of closely related species takes place as they compete for same resources that are limited. But sometimes unrelated species also compete. For example, like you can give some example. In some shallow lakes of South America, the visiting flamingos and native fishes compete for same zooplankton as their food. So like competition between the individuals of closely, but as I said, but sometimes unrelated species also compete. For that, what is the example you are going to give? In some shallow lakes of South America, the visiting flamingo birds and native fishes which are residing in the shallow lakes compete for the same zooplanktons, that is the microscopic plants that are found in the water body called zooplanktons as their food. Competition can occur in abundant resources also exist. Now, what are the learning outcomes of this particular, at the end of this chapter called Organism and Population, what are the important concepts you are going to learn? That is, you'll be able to define ecology and the basic levels of organization in ecology, describe the influence of major abiotic factors on organism and the adaptation the organism have to live and reproduce in a given environment or habitat. Then you'll be able to define population, what is population, and describe the attributes a population but not an individual organism possesses. Then describe the population growth models. Already I said logistic growth model and exponential growth model and their growth curves, that is the J-shaped and S-shaped curve. Then describe the various types of population interactions like the predation, competition, parasitism, commensalism, mutualism, amensalism, along with suitable examples. So let us have a brief recap of this particular chapter, that is the major biomes of India, that is the desert, the forest and the tundra. Then environmental factors, that is we can classify the environmental factors into abiotic factors and biotic factors. What will be the abiotic factors like the temperature, soil, water and light? What will be the very word itself? Biotic means what? Living. Abiotic, non-living. So biotic is all living organisms. So all these are the environmental factors which an organism comes across. Then population attributes, as I already said, like the birth rate, death rate, then that is natality, mortality, emigration, immigration, all these are called population attributes. Sex ratio, then the age pyramid, sex ratio, age pyramid expanding, stable and declining. Hope you have understood the important concepts what I have explained in this particular chapter called Organism and Population with respect to examination point of view. So these are the possible concepts which are going to be asked in the second PUC board exam. So the probable, like what is the weightage of marks and what are the learning outcomes of this particular chapter called Organism and Population. Thank you.